Welcome to our farm, and this is a farm tour. Over here, as I've told you guys, you can see the importance and the best breed. They can do free range farming, the improved Kenyeji breed. If you don't have enough feed, you can let them out and they can be able to eat some ants and some grass, and they can also continue to give you money without you spending so much money on feed. So this is our poultry house, whereby on the lower section, what we have done, it is a story poultry house. It is only a one-story poultry house. On the top, we usually do the brooding of day-old chicks. And here on the bottom, we have placed our parent stock. The parent stock usually whereby they lay the eggs for us. And on the top is whereby I've told you guys, we do the brooding of our chicks. You can see, they are doing free-range farming and they are all good because what we did with the breeding is that these chickens are highly resistant to diseases. They can do free-range poultry. You can do free-range poultry farming to them and they won't have any effect to them. They will still have a better immunity, and that is the better part of it. Hello guys, and welcome to AIM Agriculture channel. My name is Mayuba Brian, popularly known as the Actuary Farmer. What I usually do, I do profitable and sustainable poultry farming here in Kenya. Our farm, Neo Hen Farms, is located in Bungoma, a place known as Kibabi, whereby we do profitable and sustainable poultry farming, as I have said. So how did I start poultry farming? Where did the idea of poultry farming come up to me? Okay, so when I was back in campus, I was studying in the University of Nairobi, and I was doing a course known as actuarial science. That's why I call myself the actuary farmer. But this thing hit my mind. Why should I get employed with all this knowledge that I've gained through the years in school? So what realized and came into my mind, I really just wanted to do something so as I can be able to impact the community and help other people, because I had the idea. I wanted to become an employer and not an employee. That's why the idea of starting a poultry farm hit me up. And since when I was growing up, my father took me around in the farming sector a lot of the time. So I really was so attracted to doing something in the farming sector. That's why I was so attracted in starting a poultry farm. So I wanted to start a poultry farm, yet I had no money. So how was I able to start a poultry farm with no money? So what I did a small hustle somewhere. I was able to get 4,800 Kenyan shillings. After I've gotten 4,800 Kenyan shillings, I was able to purchase my first 50 birds. I got the 50 birds from someone who was supplying them to Kenya from a neighboring country. The 50 birds, which were broilers, I was able to brood them for a period of 3 weeks of age. After I brooded the 50 birds at a period of 3 weeks of age, remember, I've said I had 4,800 Kenyan shillings. Then I bought the birds, the 50 birds, using 2,500 Kenyan shillings. I was remaining with 2,300 Kenyan shillings. I was able to buy 30 kgs of chick mash, and also I was able to buy some multivitamin for the chicks. Not forgetting, I also bought the vaccines for the chicks. What I was doing, since I had no enough money, I was brooding the chicks using the sun. I never had any money to purchase a pot or to put up a brooder. So what I did, I used the sun, whereby I will take the chicks outside during the day. Then in the evening, I will take the chicks, then I will put them in the carton box, whereby they will generate their own heat in those carton box. That's how I was able to start my poultry farm. And when we go to the hatchery, I will show you the cupboard where I started my poultry farm from. So, after I started the poultry farm, after a period of 3 weeks, I was able to sell those birds at 1 month old. I was able to sell those birds at 1 month old. I was lucky enough to get a client from Eldoret. I can't forget his name. I have to give him credit. His name is known as Vincent Mutai. I was able to sell to him 25-month-old chicks. After I've sold them the 25-month-old chicks, I also got another customer from Chavakali, whereby I sold the remaining. So when I bought the birds, the 50 birds, I had around 6 mortalities. So I was remaining with around 44 birds. After I was able to sell the 44 birds, I went back to that supplier and I was able to buy another 100 birds. I continued with the same process whereby I was able to brood them so as I can be able to sell them off at 1 month old. I was doing so because I found out that many farmers had no idea of how they can be doing the brooding of themselves. And also because they have this very busy schedule, so they were not able to brood the chicks on their own. So I was doing that and I was able to solve that problem on their poultry farm. So I was able to buy 100, then I brooded them and I sold them off. I sold them they were around 90 in number, and I was able to sell them off. Then I bought 200 birds. Remember, I'm not taking any money out of the business because I want the business to grow. That was my real essence. I really wanted the business to grow. So I was not taking any money out of the business. I was reinvesting all the money because I was still a youth. I was still a young man. I never needed a lot of money and I wanted to see the business grow. So after I reinvested all the money, I also after I bought 200 and sold them off, I bought another day-old chicks, 500 in number, and I also raised them up to around 1 month of age. Then I was able to sell them off. Then after I reached the 500 birds, something clicked my mind. I really wanted to have chicken of my own. I really wanted to have chicken that can be able to give me eggs. But remember, I never had a plan. I just wanted to have chicken. There's this thing whereby you have this fantasy in your brain. You want to have something so big, but you really don't know how you can be able to come up with that thing so as you can be able to have a lot of chicks. So what I did, I was able to purchase 300. I bought 500, but now I have purchased 300 because I wanted to raise this chicken up to maturity. Okay? So what I did, I placed those chicken, and remember, when I'm doing this, I'm around in the second year in campus. So I was doing this, but I was still in school. So I bought those chicken during the long holiday, then I left them at home. So they were growing on very properly. Remember, out of the 500, I had a lot of money that had remained. So as I can be able to feed this chicken up to maturity. But little did I know that the chicken usually feed a lot. Okay, so during the growth stage, as this chicken had reached around 3 months of age, I was not well averse with diseases. I was not well averse with the management of chicken. So something just came up and I was back in campus, and it was a disease. This disease, it was so foreign to me. I never knew what disease it was. So I was second guessing. So first, it came and it killed. My mom told me that we had mortalities of around 30 chicken. That was on the first day. Then I assumed. Then on the following day, she told me that she had lost around 33 birds. Then I was saying, maybe this disease will come down. So we never knew that which kind of disease was this. So we went into the agrovet and we bought some antibiotics and we came and gave to the chicken. I'm instructing, I'm not at home. It's my mom doing all the work. So she gave the antibiotics to the birds. But the birds kept on dying. The following day, they died like 70. So remember, out of the 300 birds, around since they were growing, they were around 280. So they were around 280. So out of the 280 birds, remember I've lost 30, then I've lost 33. Then the following day, what really happened is that I lost 70 birds. I was treating this disease. This disease is known as Newcastle disease. That is what I realized later on. The disease was Newcastle disease. And I was treating the disease using antibiotics. Little did I know that that was a viral disease. And if you don't vaccinate your chicken, that is the big mess that can attack your poultry farm. Because I assumed that I usually see my grandmother not vaccinating chicken. So why should I vaccinate the chicken? So I never vaccinated the chicken. And I learned it the hard way. So if you're a farmer out there, make sure you vaccinate your chicken. Okay? So after that, that was a stepping stone. So I lost all the chicken. After I've lost all the chicken, then I came back to my drawing board. I got some little money from a friend, which was around 18,000 Kenyan shillings. Then I was able to start again. Okay? I was able to start again by buying 200 birds. After about 200 birds, I repeated the same process whereby I will always be doing the brooding of the birds till I can be able to get enough money. So I purchased around 200, then I was able to sell them, then 500, and then I went up to 1,000. After I've continued like that for a while, then I was able to get enough funds so as I can be able to start a bigger and expand my poultry farming venture. So I've done that over the years because I started this poultry farm back in 2017. It's not something that I started last year. So I did that over and over, and I was saving money over and over. Till there was a time in around 2020, that is whereby I bought my first incubator. I bought a first incubator of 3,520 eggs and a small hatcher of 1,056 eggs. So what I was doing, I was setting 1,173 eggs every week, and I was able to hatch around 800 chicks every week. By that time, I was only buying eggs. Remember, I hadn't stopped the process whereby I was brooding chicks and selling them off at 1 month old. When you do brooding, you'll be adding value on the chicks, so you'll get more money in that venture. So I want to take you on the top side, whereby we will be doing the brooding of the chicks, so as we can be able to sell to those farmers that usually don't want, or they don't have the time to do the brooding on themselves. And that is whereby we are best upon. So guys, let's head to the rooftop, so as you can be able to understand what over here. As you can see, we usually place feeds over here, but we are still formulating our feeds at the hatchery. So here is whereby I have said we usually do the brooding of day-old chicks. As you can see, we are using charcoal and this brooding pot as the purpose for heating these chicks. Over here, we have 3,000 around 1 week old chicks that we are brooding over here, and they can be able to be sold them to farmers later on. What you are doing currently, you can see, as I told you, when you are placing day-old chicks into the brooder, you have to make sure that you have placed newspapers, then you use the feeding trays, so as the chicks can be able to access the feeds easily. So that is what we are doing, and you can see some water here. It has a multivitamin in it, and at 1 week old, we have vaccinated Marex and the Newcastle vaccine to the chicks. So make sure you repeat the Newcastle vaccine, because Newcastle disease is one of the most deadliest diseases that can attack your poultry farm. So when you're making a brooder, as also you can see, make sure that it's in a circular or oval shape, so as it can be able to prevent the chickens or the chicks from scrubbing and scrambling in one corner, which can lead to mortalities. And this can make the chicks evenly distributed in the brooder.